Hello and welcome back to this video where we're now going to take or build upon our last video where we built our level blueprint and convert this into a class blueprint. Now the advantage of a class blueprint is that we can reuse this all over and over again within our level or our game or even in many different projects, and it simply just creates a blueprint that then is essentially an asset. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to select our light, we're going to delete them, and it's going to say would you like to delete these being referenced in our level blueprint. We're going to choose yes. We'll get the same error here. We'll choose yes. We're going to go up to our level blueprint, delete these, compile, and close. So now we have no functionality at all within our level again. So I'm going to go to our game folder. I'm going to choose create. I'm going to choose new folder. And I'm going to choose BP_blueprints. So let's open up the blueprints folder here. I'm going to right click, and now we're going to choose to create a blueprint in this fashion. So we right click, we're going to go to blueprint, and now you can see it says pick parent class, and you can see that these are now class blueprints. So we can choose an actor, pawn, character, player, controller, or game mode. Now in this particular case we want an actor. As you can see here, an actor is an object that can be placed or spawned within the world. So this is what we want. We want to spawn a light and then control the variables of that light here. So I'm going to choose actor. I'm going to choose BP_light. And press OK, and then we're going to open this up. Now when we open this, there we go, you see that we now have these two additional options here. So first one, we have defaults, and this is going to be the defaults or the default properties of this blueprint here. And we also have components. Now in the component mode, this is where we can actually add things like meshes and lights and trigger boxes, and it essentially keeps it all together as a one component that we can then place around the level. So the first thing I want to do here is I just want to right click, or actually click components, and I want to scroll down to the bottom here, and I want to choose this child actor and just call this root. And the reason I'm doing this is it just creates an empty somewhat of an empty child, or just imagine it sort of like as a dummy where we can then parent things to this afterwards. It's just a way to keep your scene clean. So we actually do have a mesh inside the starter content that we're going to be using here, and this mesh is going to be useful for demonstrating the purposes of this class blueprint. So we're going to go over to the starter content. We're going to go over to props, and you can see we have this SM lamp on ceiling. So we're going to select this, and back over here, let's just pull this out a little bit. There we go. I'm going to choose add components, and you can see that we have static mesh, and then you can see in brackets we have SM_lamp_ceiling, and this is because we have this selected. And if we click that, it's going to bring in our lamp here, or I should say our ceiling light. And once we have that, I'm going to pull this up. So this is roughly on the floor here. So now we have our static mesh in here. Now we also need to add the light. So we can go to add components, and we can go down to points light. There we go. And we're just going to pull this just below. Now we can select this light, and we can give this a name. Say we call this bulb, and say we select this and call this light mesh. Now what we can do is if I select the bulb and left click and drag this on top of the light mesh, this is now going to parent this to the static mesh. So when we move this mesh about, the light is also going to move too. So that's just a nice clean way to set up an hierarchy. Now the last component we need to add inside here was our trigger volume. Now the components doesn't specifically have a trigger volume, however what it does have is a box. So we can scroll down here and click box, and this is what we're going to use for our trigger. Now we have no visual reference of how big this is going to be, so we're just going to guess this for now, and if we need to alter this later, we can definitely do that once we see the sense of scale. Let's just pull this down a little bit. So once the player enters this area, they're going to be able to turn on and off this light. So if we compile this, and let's just drag this up here, and let's go back to our blueprints, we can see we can now pull this into our level, and we can pull this up, and you can see that, or you can see what we actually have here. So all those assets have now been brought in together. Now, because this is a actual asset, we can bring as many of these in as we'd like. So let's just delete that and just concentrate on this. So you can see our trigger volume looks a fairly decent size here. Now, say we wanted to change the properties of this light. We don't want to do this inside the actual modify tab here. We need to go back up to the components. We can select our bulb, and we can then start to play around with the values here. We can give this a color. Say we're dealing, oh wait, to do what we did before. So say we get this like a purplish color, and we made this just a little bit bigger. There we go. So now we have our, I guess, what looks like a fluorescent light of sorts. So let's go ahead and turn the visibility back off. So this is now disabled, and like you see, it's disabled inside the level here. Okay, so now we can go into our graph and start building this. Now, here's what you'll notice is one of the key differences here, because we have created those these assets over here. So let's just select this box here, give this a name. We'll continue. Trigger, and we can also parent this up to there we go. So if we go back to our graph here, you can see that we actually have these in here as names. So let's select our trigger, let's right click, and we're going to type in overlap again, and let's scroll all the way to the top. You can see we now have on actor components begin overlap. Press this. Now you can see it's a little bit different to the last one. We have a bunch of different options, but you can see it also says trigger inside here that says, you know, when we enter this area we can do something. So let's do the same thing again. Let's right click, type in overlap, scroll all the way to the top here, and we got the end component. So let's bring these in. And now we can go ahead and select our bulb, and we can right click and type in toggle, and we've got toggle visibility bulb. Now this already knows that this that we're referring directly to the bulb here. Okay, so we don't need to add a reference as we did before in the level blueprints. And again, we can just connect these up like so. And that's essentially the very basics of this. So we can compile this. We can go into our level. We can right click, choose play from here, and you can see as we're moving here, we have now turned this on and off, which is pretty cool. Now this is what I was saying to you. If let's take our component here. Actually, let's take our trigger. Let's scale this down just a little bit. There we go, like this. Okay, so now say we take this and drag this out over here, and then we start from here. Just play from here. You can see that as we move in here, it turns on, it turns off, and if we move over here, we turn this on, and we turn this on off. So that's pretty cool. So that's the very basics of the class blueprints. Okay, thank you for watching, and in the next video we will then in the next video we'll continue to build on these class blueprint principles. But until then, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.